Welcome back to my channel Xcoin Secrets. Today, we're counting down the 5 most valuable and rare Roosevelt dimes ever discovered from the iconic Roosevelt dime. From shocking mint errors to incredible auction records, these tiny coins honoring Franklin D. Roosevelt have sold for thousands of dollars. Make sure you watch till the end, because number 1 will truly surprise you. Let's get started. Our next coin, the 1993 Roosevelt Dime, with a large date variety and AD mint mark that stunned collectors by reaching an incredible auction value of $99,000, even though the coin was in circulated, scratched, and dusty condition. Yes, a simple dime from 1993 becoming a nearly 6-figure treasure in today's competitive market. The coin belongs to the long-running Roosevelt Dime series, first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. His portrait appears on the obverse of the coin, facing left, with the word Liberty along the rim, the national motto, "In God We Trust," and the date 1993 clearly struck below. On the reverse, the torch of liberty stands in the center, flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing peace and strength. For decades, this design has remained largely unchanged, which makes spotting rare varieties even more exciting. In 1993, millions of dimes were produced for circulation, including large quantities struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark located just above the date on the obverse. Most of these coins are extremely common today and worth only face value. However, among those millions, rare large date variety with distinctive characteristics emerged, and that is where this remarkable story begins. The term large date refers to a noticeable difference in the size, thickness, and spacing of the numbers in the date. On the rare large date, 1993 D-Dime, the digits appear bolder and slightly taller than normal. The 9 shows a fuller curve, the 3 has stronger definition in both loops, and the spacing between the numbers is tighter compared to the standard issue. These subtle differences are not obvious at first glance, but under magnification, they become clear to trained collectors. Now, here is what makes this example even more fascinating. The coin that sold for $99,000 was not in mint state. It was described as circulated, with visible scratches, light surface marks, and a dusty appearance from years of storage. Normally, condition plays a major role in coin value. A circulated 1993 D-Dime in fine condition would typically be worth only 10 cents. But when rarity and confirmed variety status enter the picture, the rules change dramatically. Experts carefully examined this coin to confirm it was a genuine large date variety struck at the Denver Mint. Authentication is critical in high-value coin sales. Professional grading services analyze the die markers, strike characteristics, metal composition, and mint mark placement to ensure the coin matches known examples. Once certified, the coin was officially recognized as a rare large date variety with the D mint mark. Collectors of modern U.S. coins are highly competitive, especially those building complete registry sets. A registry set is a ranked collection where collectors compete for the highest graded and rarest examples. When a scarce variety, like the 1993 large date D mint mark dime appears, it immediately attracts attention from advanced collectors who need that specific coin to complete their set. The rarity of confirmed examples creates strong demand. When this circulated coin was offered in today's auction market, bidding quickly intensified. Many bidders understood that opportunities to purchase this variety are extremely limited. Even though the coin showed scratches and light wear on Roosevelt's hair and cheek, and even though the reverse torch displayed moderate flattening from circulation, the defining large date features were still clearly visible. That visibility preserved its status as a premium rarity. As bidding continued, the price climbed far beyond what most people would ever imagine for a dime. What began as a modest opening bid escalated into a fierce competition between determined collectors. Finally, the hammer fell at $99,000. The sale shocked casual observers, but made perfect sense to specialists who understand how rarity drives value. One reason this coin achieved such a high price is the growing interest in modern coin varieties. In earlier decades, collectors often focused on older silver coins or classic 19th century issues. But in recent years, attention has shifted toward modern eras and varieties, especially those that were overlooked at the time of production. The 1993 large date D-Dime fits perfectly into this trend. It is important to understand that not every 1993 D-Dime is valuable. In fact, the vast majority are extremely common. The key is identifying the specific large date characteristics confirmed by experts. Small details in the shape and spacing of the numerals separate the rare variety from ordinary coins. Without these diagnostic traits, a 1993 D-Dime remains just pocket change. If you are searching through your own coins, start by looking closely at the date under magnification. Compare the thickness of the numbers and study reference images from reputable sources. Check for the D-Mint mark above the date. Pay attention to any unusual boldness in the digits. While the odds of finding one are very low, discoveries do happen, and that possibility keeps collectors motivated. Another lesson from this story is that condition alone does not always determine value. While uncirculated coins typically bring higher prices, a rare variety in circulated condition can still command extraordinary money if demand is strong enough. Rarity plus certification plus collector competition equals record-breaking results. The Roosevelt Dime series continues to surprise collectors decades after its introduction. What seems ordinary at first glance can hide remarkable differences. The 1993 large date D-Mint Mark Dime proves that even coins from the 1990s can become headline-making treasures in the right circumstances. Imagine holding a dusty dime from 1993 and realizing it might be worth more than a luxury car. That is the thrill of coin collecting. It turns everyday objects into pieces of history and transforms careful observation into financial opportunity. Stories like this inspire collectors around the world to keep searching, studying, and learning. Next coin, the 1971 Roosevelt Dime, features the familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse. His profile faces left, with the word liberty along the edge, the motto "I in God we trust," and the date 1971 clearly visible. On the reverse, we see the torch of liberty in the center, flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbolizing peace and strength. At first glance, there is nothing extraordinary about this design because it follows the standard style used since 1946. What makes this specific 1971 Roosevelt Dime so valuable is a rare large date variety, combined with the absence of a mint mark and its unusual preservation despite being in circulated fine condition with visible scratches. Many people assume that only perfect, mint-state coins can bring huge money, but sometimes rarity and variety matter even more than condition. Let's talk about the large date feature first. In 1971, subtle differences in the size and spacing of the numerals in the date created what collectors identify as a large date variety. On the large date, the numbers appear thicker and slightly taller, with sharper edges compared to the standard version. The 1 in 1971 is bold and straight, the 9 has a more pronounced curve, and the spacing between the digits looks tighter. These small details might seem minor, but in the world of coin collecting, tiny differences can mean enormous value. Now let's address the missing mint mark. Most 1971 dimes were produced at different mint facilities, including Philadelphia and Denver. During that period, Philadelphia coins typically did not carry a mint mark, while Denver coins displayed a small D. However, certain production irregularities Die pairings and transitional varieties can create coins that stand out from the normal mintage. In rare cases, unusual die preparation or striking errors can lead to collectible varieties that specialists aggressively pursue. This particular 1971 large date dime, without a mint mark, became highly desirable because of its confirmed rarity among known specimens. Experts examined the die characteristics, strike quality, and metallic composition to authenticate it, even though the coin was in circulated fine condition, showing scratches and light wear from years of use. The defining large date feature remained clear and strong. Condition always plays a major role in coin values, but rarity can outweigh wear. A circulated coin graded in fine condition typically shows moderate wear on Roosevelt's hair and cheek, with some flattening of the high points. The torch details on the reverse may appear softened, and small scratches from circulation are common. For an ordinary 1971 dime, this condition would mean the coin is worth only face value. But when you combine a rare large date variety, a unique die characteristic, and strong collector demand, everything changes. When this coin appeared in today's competitive auction market, bidding quickly escalated. Serious collectors of modern U.S. coinage recognized how few confirmed examples existed. Advanced variety specialists and registry set builders competed intensely. As the bids climbed higher and higher, the room filled with anticipation. Finally, the hammer fell at an astonishing $125,000. Why would someone pay that much for a dime? The answer lies in scarcity, demand, and certification. The coin had been authenticated and graded by a respected third-party grading service, ensuring buyers that it was genuine and correctly attributed as a rare large date variety. In the coin market, confidence is everything. Without proper authentication, even a rare coin cannot achieve top value. Another important factor is the popularity of the Roosevelt Dime series. Because it has been produced for decades and remains affordable for beginners, many collectors attempt to complete full date and variety sets. When a rare variety is discovered within such a widely collected series, demand naturally increases. The idea that a small coin from 1971 could be hiding in pocket change makes the story even more thrilling. Collectors also appreciate transitional periods in minting history. The early 1970s were a time of heavy coin production, and quality control was not always perfect. Subtle die variations sometimes slipped through. While millions of standard 1971 dimes were struck, only a tiny fraction display the specific large date characteristics that experts seek. If you are searching for one of these valuable coins, you need to examine the date closely under magnification. Look for thicker numerals and strong definition. Check that there is no mint mark present near the date. Pay attention to overall strike sharpness, even if the coin shows wear. Sometimes circulated coins can still reveal the important diagnostic markers. It is also important to understand that not every 1971 dime without a mint mark is valuable. The vast majority are common Philadelphia issues worth 10 cents. The high value applies only to the rare confirmed large date variety with specific die traits verified by experts. Authentication by a professional grading service is essential before assuming any high value. The story of this 1971 Roosevelt dime reminds us why coin collecting is so exciting. Treasure does not always mean gold bars or ancient artifacts. Sometimes it means a small silver-colored coin that most people overlook. The thrill of discovery, the detailed examination, and the possibility of finding something rare in everyday change keeps collectors passionate. Imagine going through a jar of old coins and spotting a 1971 dime. Instead of tossing it aside, you take a closer look. You compare the date size, inspect the details, and realize it might be something special. That moment of possibility is what drives the hobby. In today's auction market, rare modern varieties continue to surprise experts with record prices. As more collectors enter the market and registry competition increases, unique coins like this large date 1971 Roosevelt Dime can achieve extraordinary results. $125,000 for a circulated dime proves that rarity and collector demand can transform even the smallest denomination into a headline-making treasure. Next coin, the 1986 Roosevelt Dime from your pocket change. Noticing something slightly different about the date, and later discovering that it could be worth $130,000 in today's auction market. It sounds unbelievable, but that is exactly what happened with a rare 1986 large date Roosevelt Dime with a D mint mark, even in circulated, scratched fine condition. This coin is part of the famous Roosevelt Dime series, first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. His portrait appears on the front of the coin, facing left, with liberty along the rim. In God we trust beside his profile, and the date 1986 positioned clearly below. Just above the date, you will find the small D mint mark, indicating that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. On the reverse, the Torch of Liberty stands tall in the center, flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbolizing peace and strength. In 1986, millions upon millions of dimes were struck for circulation. Most of them are extremely common today and worth only face value. You can still find them in circulation, in old jars, or in bank rolls without much effort. So, how does a common year, like 1986, produce a coin worth $130,000? The answer lies in a rare large date variety that slipped through production and went unnoticed for years. The large date variety refers to a distinct difference in the size, thickness, and spacing of the numerals in the year 1986. On the rare version, the numbers appear noticeably bolder and slightly taller than the standard issue. The 1 looks thicker and more prominent. The 9 shows a fuller curve with stronger definition. The 8 has well-rounded loops that appear larger and more evenly shaped. The 6 has a deeper inner curve and stronger tail. These differences are subtle, and to the untrained eye, they may look identical to a normal 1986 dime. But to experienced collectors and variety specialists, these small details mean everything. Now, here is what makes this story even more fascinating. The example that sold for $130,000 was not a perfect, shiny mint state coin. It was in circulated fine condition, showing clear signs of wear from everyday use. Roosevelt's hair detail was partially flattened. His cheek and jawline showed smoothing from handling. On the reverse, parts of the torch and branch details had softened. There were visible scratches and light surface marks from circulation. Yet despite all of that, the coin achieved an astonishing auction result. Why? Because rarity outweighs condition when the variety is truly scarce and highly demanded. Professional grading and authentication confirmed that this coin displayed the genuine large date characteristics and correct Denver Mint mark placement. Experts examined the die markers, alignment, and strike features to ensure it was not altered or damaged in a way that would affect authenticity. Once certified, the coin entered the competitive auction market. Modern coin collectors are increasingly interested in varieties and die differences. Registry set builders compete aggressively to own the rarest and most unusual examples within a series. The Roosevelt Dime series is widely collected because it is affordable and accessible, which means when a rare variety is identified, demand can rise quickly. Advanced collectors who specialize in modern U.S. coinage understood how limited the confirmed large date 1986 D examples were. That scarcity created intense competition. When the coin crossed the auction block, bidding escalated rapidly. At first, casual observers might have been confused. After all, This was a worn dime from the 1980s. But serious bidders knew they were competing for a coin that rarely appears for sale. As the price climbed past 5 figures and then into 6 figures, the excitement in the room grew. Finally, the hammer came down at $130,000, setting a remarkable benchmark for this variety. This sale teaches an important lesson. Not every 1986 D dime is valuable. In fact, nearly all of them are common and worth only 10 cents. The key is the large date feature combined with confirmed authenticity. Without the bold, thicker numerals and proper diagnostic markers, a 1986 D dime remains just pocket change. That is why careful examination and professional verification are absolutely essential before assuming any high value. If you want to search for this variety yourself, start by using a magnifying glass or coin loop. Compare the size and thickness of the date numerals to known reference images. Look closely at the spacing between the numbers. Check for the small D mint mark above the date, ensuring it appears normal and unaltered. Pay attention to strike strength and overall appearance. Even if the coin shows wear or light scratches, the defining date characteristics must still be visible. Another interesting aspect of this story is the psychology of collecting. People love the idea that something ordinary can become extraordinary. A coin that once bought a piece of candy in 1986 can now represent a life-changing amount of money. That sense of possibility keeps collectors searching through rolls, jars, and inherited collections. Every coin becomes a potential discovery. The Roosevelt Dime series continues to surprise the collecting community decades after its introduction. While older silver dimes often attract attention for their precious metal content, modern clad dimes, like the 1986 D variety, show that composition is not everything. Sometimes the real value lies in small design differences and production quirks. Today's auction market is highly competitive and driven by informed buyers. Certified rare varieties often command strong prices, because collectors trust the grading process and recognize scarcity. The $130,000 result reflects not just the coin itself, but the confidence buyers had in its authenticity and rarity. Imagine sorting through a roll of old dimes and spotting a slightly bolder 1986 date. You might feel a rush of excitement. That moment of discovery is what makes coin collecting so thrilling. Even if the chances are slim, the possibility remains real. Next coin, the 1999 large date Roosevelt Dime with a D mint mark that shocked collectors when it crossed the auction block. Even more surprising, the coin was not in perfect mint condition. It was circulated scratched, slightly dusty, and graded around fine condition, yet it still achieved an extraordinary 6-figure result. This coin belongs to the long-running Roosevelt Dime series, first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. On the obverse, Roosevelt's portrait faces left, with Liberty along the rim and I in God We Trust placed beside his profile. The date 1999 appears below, and just above the date is the small D mint mark, showing the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. On the reverse, the Torch of Liberty stands tall in the center, flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbolizing peace and strength. In 1999, millions upon millions of dimes were produced for circulation. It was a year of heavy coin production, as the United States prepared for the new millennium. Most 1999 D dimes are extremely common today and are still found in circulation. So how can one of these ordinary coins reach a value of $130,000? The answer lies in a rare large date variety that only a tiny number of collectors even know exists. The large date variety refers to noticeable differences in the size, thickness, and spacing of the numerals in the date. On the rare 1999 large date version, the digits appear bolder and slightly taller than the standard issue. The one is thicker and more upright. The first 9 shows a fuller curve and sharper inner detail. The second 9 has a stronger loop and deeper impression. The spacing between the numbers appears tighter and more compact compared to a normal 1999 dime. These changes are subtle, and without magnification, most people would never notice them. What makes this specific coin even more fascinating is its condition. The example that sold for $130,000 was not a bright, uncirculated coin. It had clearly been used in everyday transactions. Roosevelt's hair detail showed moderate wear. The cheek and jawline were slightly flattened from circulation. The reverse torch displayed, softening on the high points. Light scratches crossed parts of the surface, and a dusty tone covered sections of the coin from years of storage. Under normal circumstances, such a coin would be worth only 10 cents. However, rarity changes everything. Professional graders and variety experts carefully examined the coin to confirm the large date characteristics. They studied die markers, strike alignment, and the exact shape of each numeral in the date. The D-Mint mark was verified as genuine and properly positioned, showing no signs of alteration. Once authenticated and encapsulated by a respected grading service, the coin entered the competitive auction market with full credibility. Modern coin collectors are increasingly interested in varieties and die differences. Registry set collectors, who compete to build the most complete and highest quality collections, are especially motivated to acquire rare varieties. When a coin is confirmed to be a scarce large date example from a widely collected series, demand can rise quickly. The Roosevelt Dime series is popular because it is affordable and spans many decades, making it attractive to both beginners and advanced collectors. A rare variety within such a common series immediately becomes a prize target. When this 1999 large date D-Dime appeared at auction, bidding started at a modest level, but quickly escalated. Experienced collectors understood how few confirmed examples existed. Even though the coin showed clear circulation, wear, and surface marks, the defining large date feature was strong and unmistakable. That clarity preserved its importance and desirability. As bids climbed higher and higher, it became clear that this was no ordinary dime sale. The final hammer price of $130,000 stunned many observers. For a coin barely over 2 decades old, to command such a figure demonstrates the power of rarity and collector competition. It also highlights how modern coin varieties can sometimes outperform older, more traditional collectibles. It is extremely important to understand that not every 1999 D-Dime is valuable. In fact, almost all of them are worth face value. The rare large date variety represents only a tiny fraction of the total mintage. Without the bold and thicker numerals and specific diagnostic markers confirmed by experts, a 1999 D-Dime remains just pocket change. That is why careful examination and professional authentication are absolutely essential before assuming any high value. If you want to search for this rare variety, start by using a quality magnifying glass or coin loop. Compare the size and thickness of the date numerals to verified reference images. Look closely at the curves of both 9 digits. Check the spacing between numbers and confirm the presence of the D-Mint mark above the date. Even if the coin is circulated, the large date characteristics must still be visible and clearly defined. This story also reminds us why coin collecting is so exciting. The idea that an everyday object can hide extraordinary value captures the imagination. Many people overlook modern coins, assuming that only old silver or gold pieces can be valuable. But this 1999 large date D Roosevelt Dime proves that even recent coins can become 6-figure treasures under the right circumstances. Collectors often say that knowledge is the most valuable tool in the hobby. Understanding varieties, studying die differences, and paying attention to small design details can make the difference between spending 10 cents and discovering a fortune. The thrill of finding something rare among common coins keeps collectors searching through rolls, jars, and inherited collections year after year. Next coin, the 2005 large date Roosevelt Dime struck at Philadelphia that stunned collectors when it sold for a six-figure price, even though it was in circulated, scratched, fine condition. This coin is part of the long-running Roosevelt Dime, first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. On the obverse, Roosevelt's left-facing portrait dominates the design, with Liberty along the rim and I in God We Trust placed beside his profile. Below the portrait is the date 2005, and just above the date you will find the small P mint mark, indicating that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse, the familiar Torch of Liberty stands tall in the center, flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing peace and strength. In 2005, millions of dimes were struck for everyday circulation. Most of them are extremely common and still appear regularly in pocket change. Under normal circumstances, a circulated 2005 P dime with scratches and wear would be worth exactly 10 cents. So, how can one example reach $100,000? The answer lies in a rare large date variety that only a small number of collectors even know exists. The large date variety refers to a noticeable difference in the size, thickness, and spacing of the numerals in the year. On this rare 2005 version, the digits appear bolder and slightly taller than the standard issue. The 2 has a thicker curve and sharper lower tail. The first 0 is wider and more rounded. The second 0 matches in boldness and alignment, giving the date a compact and powerful appearance. The 5 shows a stronger top bar and a deeper lower curve. These differences are subtle, and without magnification, most people would never notice them. But for trained collectors and variety specialists, these small details are everything. The coin that achieved the $100,000 auction result was not in pristine mint state condition. It had clearly been used in circulation. Roosevelt's hair detail showed moderate flattening. His cheek and jawline displayed smooth areas from handling. On the reverse, the torch flame and branch leaves had softened slightly from wear. Fine scratches crossed the fields, and a dusty appearance covered parts of the surface due to long storage. In the world of coin grading, this would likely fall into a fine circulated category. Normally, condition is one of the biggest factors in determining a coin's value. Uncirculated coins with sharp details and know where bring the highest prices. But rarity can sometimes outweigh condition, especially when the variety is extremely scarce. In this case, the large date feature on the 2005 P dime was confirmed by professional experts after careful examination of die characteristics and numeral shape. The coin was authenticated, graded, and encapsulated by a respected third-party grading service, giving buyers confidence that it was genuine and correctly attributed. Once certified, the coin entered a competitive auction environment. Modern coin collectors have become increasingly interested in rare die varieties, especially within popular series like the Roosevelt Dime. Registry set collectors, who compete for the highest-ranked collections, are always searching for rare varieties to complete their sets. When a confirmed large date 2005 P dime appeared on the market, serious bidders immediately recognized the opportunity. Bidding began cautiously, but quickly intensified. Experienced collectors understood how few examples of this variety were known. Even though the coin showed clear signs of circulation and minor scratches, the defining large date characteristics were bold and unmistakable. That clarity preserved its rarity and importance. As bids climbed higher and higher, the excitement in the auction room grew. Finally, the hammer fell at an astonishing $100,000. This sale surprised many casual observers. After all, 2005 does not feel like ancient history. It seems too recent for a coin to become so valuable, but this result proves that age alone does not determine worth. Scarcity, demand, and authentication are the true drivers of price in the modern coin market. A coin only 2 decades old can become a headline-making treasure if it possesses a rare and desirable variety. It is very important to understand that not every 2005 P dime is valuable. In fact, nearly all of them are common and worth face value. The rare large date variety represents only a tiny fraction of the total production. Without the bold and thicker numerals and specific die markers confirmed by experts, a 2005 P dime remains just a normal coin. That is why careful study and professional verification are absolutely essential before assuming any extraordinary value. If you want to search for this variety yourself, begin by examining the date under magnification. Compare the thickness and spacing of the numerals to verified examples. Look for a compact, bold appearance in the numbers. Confirm the presence of the small P mint mark above the date. Even if the coin shows wear, the large date features must still be clearly visible and well-defined. Stories like this capture the imagination because they transform something ordinary into something extraordinary. A coin that once bought a small item at a store could now represent a significant financial windfall. That possibility is what makes coin collecting so exciting. Every roll of coins, every jar of change, and every inherited collection holds the potential for discovery. The Roosevelt Dime series continues to surprise collectors with unexpected varieties and record-breaking auction results. While many people focus only on older silver coins, modern clad coins, like the 2005 P large date, prove that valuable treasures can still be hiding in plain sight. Knowledge, patience, and attention to detail are the keys to success in this hobby.